hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
I'd like to officially announce that I am officially disowning Mikhail.
Why?
The Afternoon Karak is disbanding.
Well, what happened?
You know what you did.
I was just eating chips in the other studio. That's
and making deals.
You know, some temporary deals, some temporary partnerships.
That hurt.
Even
the partnership was for 5 dirhams.
Hey, you know,
5 dirhams.
Money talks.
Is that what I'm worth?
Well, you know,
is this what partnership
the updated
worth?
offer was 5.5 dirhams. You know.
I feel so much better that you added that 50 fils to this illegal black market transaction in the other studio.
Bear in mind,
I don't want to.
It's Thursday. It's the end of the week. You know, we're literally at the end of that grind, and you're like. But what, you know, maybe I can have one of the other hosts jump in for the show, and I'll compensate them.
First of all, I thought you were gonna enjoy this hour because we've got Thursday recommendations back. First of all. Second of all, even the other presenter, Umnia Saleh from Future Talk, has also been, our friendship has also been severed.
Oh my God, that's not what I intended.
That's too late.
You know what? I retract my offer.
Because she doesn't. I mean, you offered her 5 dirhams, and she was like, "No, I will pay you 10 dirhams to go and do your own show." So it's like double backstabbing. Actually, it wasn't even backstabbing. It was stabbing me right in front of me. I can hear you guys make these deals right in front of me. So I'm honestly, I don't know what to make of this.
I've learned the hard way not to make such deals behind your back, and
it wasn't even it wasn't behind my back.
If anything, I'll pay Umnia just to watch the show. How about that?
That's worse. You're making it sound like we need to pay people to tune into our show.
No,
you're saying our show is so boring.
I feel like her presence is worthy of money. You know, you got to pay for it. Okay, this is getting way out of hand.
She's gesturing. You're gesturing.
I'm making it worse.
You're making it worse. I'm very upset with both of you. I do not want to talk to you, but unfortunately, for me, I need to, because it is the Afternoon Karak and it is the magic hour that you have defiled.
Okay, all right. I've learned from that, and I do want to keep the weekend vibes going along through the magic hour here on the Afternoon Karak, because today is a special hour. We're bringing back weekend recommendations. It's been a long time since we've done this, and I'm excited to share some of my personal recommendations. I know Aisha has a couple of hers.
Yes,
and
I do.
If you have no plans for the weekend, you just you're finishing up your work, finishing up your exam, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Don't worry. We're going to hook you up with the best movie shows, video games that has to offer here on the show. So join in, text in on 4215. It's a lot to do. Also join and watch our live stream on YouTube. Let's have a good time right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Yes, especially on YouTube where we're streaming live, so you can see the look of disappointment that I'll be carrying with me this entire hour, guys. You can see it live on YouTube. Pulse 95 Radio. Stay tuned for that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
As a super generous person and a giving person and the pride and joy of my parents, I am going to look the other way for the next 40-50 minutes. And then I'm going to go back to not speaking to you for the next couple of days. You and Umnia Saleh from Future Talk.
What happened to the availing Aisha?
Again, I said, because I am availing.
Listen, if anything, just put it on me. I was at fault. I was the one who brought the offer. She rejected it.
Yeah, but she made it worse.
Exposed me.
She made it worse because she literally said, take 10 dirhams. And she didn't even go like, okay,
I was haggling. I went down to 5. You know,
you both suck. That's all I'm gonna say. But I don't think your recommendation for the hour sucks. It's very interesting. It is a dungeon crawler, which usually I'm not a big fan of dungeon crawlers, but this one is quite interesting.
So this movie, this game that I'm recommending today is called Going Under. There was a time when when Aisha was really just highly recommending Hades, and I wanted to play it, but it wasn't available on PlayStation. So I found this game called Going Under, and it's same in the sense that it's a rogue-lite dungeon crawler game, but the theme and just the way the game is set up, it is so hilarious. What I love about Going Under, it's basically you play as a unpaid internship who just got unpaid intern who just got a little position at this tech startup, and she really hopes to start working in the marketing department because that's what she has a degree in. But next thing you know, you start to realize that all of her superiors, all of her mentors and senpais are gonna be tasking her with all sorts of work that is completely beyond her qualification. And basically the way you go about playing the game is by completing these tasks, and the tasks are you have to go to the lower levels of the corporate building and defeat all these monsters who were once employees in a failed tech startup. And it is an intentionally satirical video game. It pokes fun on the everyday culture of entrepreneurs, the corporate culture,
Unpaid internships.
Yes. And and it's all done through this really funny, just sort of like psychedelic, sort of dungeon crawler game, where whenever you go into a failed tech startup, some of the ones that they have pokes fun on like fast-paced delivery, and dating sites, and even cryptocurrency. So every dungeon is very uniquely themed to the tech startup, and what I really like about it is the gameplay is so fluid and dynamic. There's so many ways you can approach these dungeons because every dungeon you go into is procedurally generated, something similar to Hades, So every time you go in, it's always going to be a different challenge and something very refreshing. And it is kind of challenging because when you start playing this game, you really can't figure out what is the right combat, the right approach to every enemy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the combat has to do with the fact that you can pick up any item in the dungeon, like a pencil or a stapler or a chair, or just like little things. And you use these items to fight your way through every dungeon. And it can be challenging, but it's the fairly challenging kind of experience where the more you play, the more you learn about the enemy's movements, the schematics of the dungeons, and what specific perks to bring into the dungeon. And the more you do these things, you as a player, you get better at the game, and you want to go deeper into the dungeon until you finally hit the boss of that tech startup. It is such a funny, goofy, quirky video game, and it's available on PlayStation, Switch, and PC. I think maybe also on Xbox.
Yes, because it is available on Steam, so it's probably going to be available on a lot of consoles.
And a lot of people, I know some gamers, they step away from roguelite because it is a niche genre on its own. But this one is nothing too complex. It's nothing where you feel like you're going to get too lost. It stays simple, but it still has that depth that you're looking for as a gamer. So I highly recommend you play this. This game is called Going Under.
Guys, support indie games because sometimes they are some of the best games out there. I mean, Hades was the game of the year of 2020 because I said so, and so do a lot of fans. Do not listen to what the Game Awards say. You know we're right. But yeah, Going Under, available on Nintendo Switch, on the PlayStation, on Xbox, and on the PC. Basically, you have no excuse not to try out or checking out this recommendation. We've got our friend, the Nokia and Radio Guy. Hello there.
Hey, welcome back.
They say my favorite part of the day, unfortunately due to the unpredictable nature of my occupation today, will be the last time in a long time that I'll be able to tune in, which is very sad. We're gonna miss you very much. They say that we have been awesome, and the Wilsons to their Tom Hanks, which is honestly the cutest.
I've never been complimented that.
So beautiful.
And I thank you.
We love you very much. We love this. What you wrote is honestly just touched us very deeply. in our hearts. And they also gave us several song choices to pick from, and we just happened to pick one. We're not going to say which one.
Okay.
You will hear it coming
Let's
right up
surprise
next.
you. And this is dedicated to you, my guy.
Yes, and they do say, P.S. Don't disown him. I'm going to try. I will try my best. It's going to require a lot of power, a lot of willpower. Get it? Willpower, because Wilson. But yeah, I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. But yeah, this is the song you recommended, our friend, coming up next. And we're going to go to our next recommendation of the hour. It is a Netflix movie. Stay tuned for that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
It's the weekend recommendation hour here on the Afternoon Karak. It is a time to recommend you some of the best movies, shows, video games. And right before the break, I recommended...
Wait, hold on. Before the break, I also recommend not talking to people who stab you in the back. I recommend also that if you have any friend who does stab you in the back, they should cut them off. They're too toxic for you, even if they happen to be.
Well, let's leave that for a suggestion next week.
We don't have suggestions today. Is that what you're trying to say? Are you hoping that over the weekend I'm going to mellow over?
What's the word? Time is what makes the heart go fonder?
No, it's distance.
Distance.
Not time.
Oh, dear.
It's distance.
Okay. Oh, I'm switching it up for...
Obviously, it's not working.
Personal intent.
Let's move on to my first recommendation
Alrighty.
of the hour. Now, this is a movie that I came across before it came out because I was on the BBC.com just looking through articles. It's like, let's find something for the show. And I come across an article that was talking about a Netflix movie adaptation that is based on a true story. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of true stories. I usually steer clear away from them.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's like about cults or, those creepy things.
Like really bizarre stuff.
Exactly. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of a lot of... real life stories or things that are based on real life people. But this one in particular, it piqued my interest instantly because it is about the real life story of the Republic of Rose Island. And I'm pretty sure nobody has ever heard of the Republic of Rose Island because it is how one engineer in Italy decided that he will build his own island because he just felt like it. He was very upset with what's been happening around him. People just telling him that you're not allowed to do things because of bureaucracy. He needs to file some patents. He needs to do some things here and there. He didn't like that.
He didn't want to conform to the societal standards.
Exactly. So he's like, I don't want this, so I'm gonna make my own island. And he's one person. So he goes out, searches up his friend. Now they just graduated from college, so they just met each other, and they basically have had a long relationship throughout college, and they just kicked off their career. His friend is called Maurizio, and Maurizio was just hilarious. He was the highlight of the entirety of the movie because it's very serious, but at the same time, just those comedic moments that are just incredibly golden. He's very
probably
subtle.
Like his delinquent buddy,
He's actually not. He is actually, a well-known person. His father owns a whole group of companies across all of Italy. And what he just does is be racist for God knows what reason. Okay, it's racist. I know we shouldn't be applauding racist, but it comes in a funny way.
These are older times.
But also he just basically likes to blame people, and he's lazy, but he likes to pretend that he's very smart and important. But he is actually quite smart because it was through Maurizio that they managed to build an island by literally building it with steel and whatnot. It was the entire scene. Guys, I cannot recommend this enough. You need to watch it because that scene itself.
The whole process of the island being built is probably the best part of the film.
It was unreal. Even though it was very short because it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But the fact that he literally attached the steel rods, and they're massive steel rods, to his friend because they figured out, because they're both engineers, of a way to have these massive steel, rods stick to the ground without moving through some, basic physics and whatnot. But they had to use him to literally sink down and dive down into the ocean to pull it down, and it was just a mess. But it works out, and bit by bit, Rose Island becomes a place for kind of like people who don't belong. And it's a tiny platform in the middle of the sea.
Yeah.
And they just, they just go there, they party, they vibe together, and soon enough they have a whole ragtag bunch of friends who live there. But soon enough, the Italian government notices that there is somebody doing this, and they get angry and they try to find ways to get back at them because they need to remove the island. So they try to find all kinds of ways to say this is illegal. But it is quite legal because they went far enough.
It's in international waters. Yeah.
Exactly. That even they can't really do something. And they were threatened enough for Giorgio to actually go to the UN building in Strasbourg and try to appeal to have his island independent, as an actual independent island. And it's very interesting because, again, you look at the island and you see it, and it's literally a platform in the middle of the sea, but they somehow made it habitable. They somehow made it a home for thousands and thousands of, not thousands, but hundreds of people who kept coming and going back and forth to just, have fun and, party and just be who they are. And it's a fun movie, an understated movie. Everybody should find it. It's on Netflix. It's called Rose Island. It came out in December 9th, so it's a very new movie. Again, comedy, drama, the whole found family and friendships. It is just very beautiful. I recommend it 100% for you and your family and friends this weekend. We're going to be taking a short break. I've got these sports headlines coming up next, so stay tuned for more recommendations right after these sports headlines and some music. So make sure you're tuning in and jamming with us right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
We hope that we appeased some Swifties with some Taylor Swift, and we can appease some of you guys out there as we recommend some more movies, TV shows, books, video games, comics, literally everything out there, so you guys can have something to do this weekend. Now we move on to Mikhail's second and final recommendation of the hour.
Okay, so this is a really interesting recommendation. It's a movie that I've watched many years ago and I've rewatched recently, and I remember thinking to myself, this movie is as good as the day I watched it. And
it's
this
Jake
movie,
Gyllenhaal.
It stars Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a movie called Nightcrawler. Now, you ever wondered whenever you're watching serious news, we're talking breaking news kind of highlights, and some of the footage can be a bit graphic or, if your discretion is advised and all that.
Yeah.
And you wonder to yourself, how in the world they get that kind of footage, up close, cutthroat, kind of dangerous footage? Well, this is a movie that, the highlights that goes into the business, the dirty business of trying to get the kind of footage that you find on the late night evening news segments. And it stars this guy who is Jake Gyllenhaal. His name is Lou Bloom, and he's can't find any kind of work, and he's struggling to just find anything that's worthwhile. But then one day he stumbles upon a really bad car accident. So he pulls out his camera and he's kind of videotaping it, and he finds out that there's a lot of money to be made in taking these kind of graphic footage, because news media would pay a whole lot of money for it. And so he realizes that he's also pretty good at this kind of work, a little too good. And this is where it gets a little creepy to watch this film, because you see this character who is just he's like subtly clever. He plans out how he's gonna wade through the night, and he's listening to like police reports. He's keeping an eye on anything that could go wrong, and he's got his camera ready so he can get that first come, first serve kind of footage, because he knows there's a lot of money to be made in it. But at the same time, this obsession that he has slowly turns him into a bit of a psychopath, because he's apathetic to it all, It's for him, it's about being there first, taking that footage. It doesn't matter what tragedy has taken place, and it's almost shocking you, but it's the character itself. I honestly, like, you kind of cheer for him because it's like, this is his livelihood, I guess. And I know it's creepy and it's unethical, but hey, like, the guy gotta get that bread, you know?
Get that bag.
But then there are points where the character himself will cross some really shady lines just to get the kind of footage he's looking for. And again, this character who's slowly just becoming a psychopath, like, he is just purely obsessed with, you know, and he starts manipulating, he starts hiring people to do this kind of stuff, and it all leads to an ending that is some of the most suspenseful stuff I've ever seen in a film. I really can't spoil it for you, but there's so much about this film that I love. The screenplay, the writing, the character development, the creepy-esque sort of atmosphere this movie really goes for. It's dirty, it's gritty, and this is Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance. Honestly, there are moments when you watch
Not Prince of Persia?
Let's put it, it's like, you know, it's almost there. But I will say, like, you ever watch a film and you know this actor, like, you know, but you kind of forget that it's this actor. He is so in this character. I believe this was a real person.
It's Jake Gyllenhaal's
he
way
lost weight for this film as well.
It's
like, the
his
dedication.
It's his way of tackling any sort of character. He just gives it its all, and it's a whole experience. Any Jake Gyllenhaal movie is an experience, including Prince of Persia.
Definitely watch that.
Definitely watch that. It's not a recommendation. It's a mini recommendation just out there.
Yeah.
But my point is, I mean, I'm not surprised. I believe it won even some accolades a long time ago when it first came out. It is one of those must-watch movies. If you have a list of movies that you have to watch in the past decade or throughout the entire 2000s, Nightcrawler has to be one of those movies. And honestly, anything by Jake Gyllenhaal should be a must-watch for you. We're going to be taking a short break again one last time before we go to my final recommendation, and we bid you farewell into the weekend. So stay tuned, keep Pulse 95 locked, and have fun with us.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
On Pulse 95.
We're getting closer and closer to the weekend, and if you're tuning into the Afternoon Karak, you know that it's the weekend recommendation where we recommend you some of the best movie shows, books, games that we can muster for you guys. Earlier, right before the break, I talked about...
Let's do a rundown later on.
All right, let's jump into the last recommendation.
Yes.
This time from Aisha.
You know what? The song is just too sassy for my recommendation. Let me find something a bit more, I want to say sad,
something more befitting.
More befitting.
Okay.
Is this good?
Yeah.
Is this too happy again?
It's like soft and mellow. It does have a little, I would say, like a I don't know, like when I want to I feel a little pip when the comes out, you know.
I think it works. Yeah, it works. It does work. So my recommendation, my second recommendation of the hour is called Night in the Woods. If you guys probably heard of this game if you were around, a couple of years ago, around 5-6 years ago when the game came out. And I would say that I've always wanted to play it. Let's put it that way. It was out on Steam and it was available on the Mac, but I was like, no, I don't feel like I should play it yet. And I'm glad I waited, because not long afterwards, after the game was launched on Steam, it actually came out on the Switch in 2018, but for some reason I had no idea that it came out. And I found out earlier, around maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I was like, oh, Night in the Woods is available on the Switch for the past 2 years. This is my sign to finally play it. Now, what follows the character, her name is May, and now she left university. It's her first semester or year, and she's like, I'm going back home. She goes back to her little town only to find that everything has changed. In this small period that she was gone in, everything was changed, including some of her friends who kind of grew or either had new relationships, or even just some small things across the town itself, whether it's the park she used to go to when she was younger, or some other relationships across the entirety of the town. the new shops that popped up, because it is a small town, so they have now a bigger hypermarket, which you never expected to find. They have, some new stuff on the highway, etc. So she kind of is dealing with kind of taking a step back, because when you venture out into college, whether it's here in the UAE, across the entire world, it's a new step for you. It's something that signifies the beginning of your life. But now she has to stop. And now she kind of regrets, because there is like a pause, an indefinite pause in her life. She doesn't know what she's going to do.
Yeah.
But in that weird pause, she is kind of going through, it feels like purgatory, the way that she is, her town feels to her. So the entire game is this very sweet, simple, and incredibly realistic, just exploration story where you go along with May, and as you're given very simple tasks like go speak to this person, go do this, go fix your laptop and whatnot. And what's interesting is that you might look at the trailer and see that they're all animals. They're all anamorphic animals, but do not let their cute faces, undermine the story, because the dialogue just hits really hard. It hits right in the soul. And that is just the story of May and all her friends. I really recommend checking out this game. I feel like it's very important for everybody who is interested in a game that is very mellow, somewhat mellow, because like I said, the story is kind of slow, but at the same time, it kind of hits hard. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say anything further. Even when she has her, anxiety attacks, or when she has those moments where she questions the validity of what she is doing, it really hits in the simplest form. And the dialogue is very beautiful. It's very thought-provoking, and it feels like just normal talking. You're just a watcher as you see her and her friends and her family, and the way that she navigates herself through this very familiar yet foreign arena. So I'm gonna say it one more time. Guys, check out Night in the Woods. It's one of those games that are the kind of games that you play when you don't want something that is very action-filled. It is, again, very slow in comparison to a lot of games. It's even slow in comparison to other indie games that are similar, as in like a story-driven kind of game. But at the same time, it is certainly worth your time as you navigate through the life of May. And that is my final recommendation. Let's do a quick run back of what we spoke about throughout the hour.
All right, so my first recommendation is Going Under. It is a psychedelic rogue-lite dungeon crawler about an unpaid intern trying to just trying to survive in a tech startup. Highly recommend it. It's available on all platforms.
My first recommendation was Rose Island, a movie available on Netflix. It centers around Giorgio, an Italian engineer, and it's based on a real story. He decides that him, and along with his friend Maurizio, are gonna make their own island off the coast of Italy. It's all about friendships, found family, and plenty of comedy, and also some very real and true story. Again, it's based on something that happened not too long ago. Check it out. Again, available on Netflix.
All right, and my second recommendation is the creepy thriller film Nightcrawler. It focuses on a man who's looking to be the best at his job, but let's just say his job is not the most ethical in that kind of way.
To say the least.
I highly recommend it. Great performance, great atmosphere, great writing, and again, Jake Gyllenhaal. This is probably his best movie yet.
We'll need to wait and see, because Jake Gyllenhaal, he's amazing when it comes to these type of movies. He's just really, and I mean really good at picking his movies. And honestly, he keeps shocking us with one movie after another. And with that, we end our hour right here on the afternoon karak, unfortunately. And I'm going to say this. I do not forgive you. And I do not forgive Umnia Saleh. Will I forgive you over the weekend? Well,
Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more.
It's become like a drama series.
Well, kind of. We need to leave people with a cliffhanger. Have to
gotta tease them. Yeah,
gotta tease them. Bring them back to the afternoon karak next week, inshallah. Yalla on Sunday, from Sunday to Thursday, from 4 p.m. all the way till 5 p.m. Now we make our way to leave the desk for Yalla Home, Big Hass and Anna Schofield to keep the entertainment going. Only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.